All right, the first hours are over, and of course, in the community, so many tasks have already been completed, and the tasks that are already done we'll now take a look at step by step. This video is about the non-premium tasks, and in the next video we'll then take a look at the premium tasks. So I'm standing here, kind of half AFK on the green koi, and I'm hoping that it'll bite here at Mosquito Lake. And in the meantime, we'll just take a look at which of the 8 anniversary tasks here in the non-premium section have already been completed. It's actually not that hard, and like I already said in the previous videos, use this as a benchmark. If you're struggling with these tasks, especially the non-premium tasks, then you definitely need to check out the tutorial series, because otherwise, you're still missing a lot of knowledge in the game. The premium tasks at the slightly higher level water bodies, of course, are a bit more challenging, and you might need a bit more in-depth knowledge for those. But that's all still very doable. And I'll also say, players with over 1,000 hours of experience in the game should be able to handle this just fine. Let's now take a look, step by step, at the different tasks. Alright, stage 1. Catch 3 different fish species with a weight of at least 500 grams at Mosquito Lake. For that, you really just need to throw in a worm or put in some white bread, and the fish will bite here. There are various fish that will go for it. Roach, gibel carp, crucian carp, tench can also come in, common carp can also come in. So a variety of fish that can be caught here. And the only requirement is G. That means you just go in here, maybe with a size 6 hook, or even a size 1 hook. You can go for bigger fish too. And eventually these fish will come in. Whether it's with a whip rod or a bottom rod, this really shouldn't be a big challenge. The second task is, catch a bream of at least 500 grams at the Windenbach. That works really well in the area at the crossroads. So, where the Windenbach splits into that dead arm, there in that crossing area you can fish for bream excellently. I caught mine, for example, on pea mash, but you can just as well catch them on manure worm. Pea mash works of course really well too, or always try out garlic dough from time to time. Again, this really shouldn't be a problem. Of course, we fish for bream at night. A 500-gram bream with a size 1 hook is caught pretty quickly. The next task is actually a bit trickier because you'll need some background knowledge, like how do you best catch such a common whitefish? Whitefish love to feed on insects and larvae, and that works quite well. And I already took a look on Discord. Yeah, and here we can see posts from different players about the small whitefish. Here in this case, from Blue Marin, 553 grams caught in this area, so at coordinates 7 and 239. And that was done with the 2 new worm types. So that seems to work too here with a size 6 hook, of course also with a float rod. Then we have another post from Devilos. 1 kilo whitefish completed, very nice. And the whole thing was relatively simple, just a fine small Bolognese rod, in this case 5 kilo line, only a size 8 hook with mayfly larva, and that works really well. The whole thing in 1 meter depth at the coordinates, also here, 7 and 348. So that works very well too. Erizito, again here, also at 90 centimeter depth, caught 2 of them. Also with worm, or mayfly larva, only a size 12 hook even. And it goes on, and it goes on. Also here, earthworm with mayfly larva on a size 10 hook. So you can see the pattern. Worms combined with larvae work well again and again. Otherwise, also here, Stefan from Pomerania, he caught one as well with a size 12 hook, mayfly larva. So really, don't go too big and then just try it out with larvae to land the fish. And in general, in the range of let's say 80 centimeters to 1.20 meters depth, that should work quite well. I also caught the small whitefish pretty much exactly in the middle where you spawn basically, directly there. Also at about 1 meter depth and with mayfly and caddisfly larvae. That worked very quickly as well. Small setup, of course, and then you'll also catch this fish. Let's move on to the first task of stage 2. Task 1 says, catch 7 different fish species using white bread dough at Mosquito Lake or at the Windenbach. For such tasks, it's recommended to use the smallest possible hook. If it says catch fish species without a specific weight given, it's simply about catching the species. So we use the smallest hook possible, a size 24, put the white bread bait on as required, and with these super small hooks, we have an extremely high chance of catching fish that in their fully grown state might not usually bite on this bait anymore, or only very rarely. But because the hook and bait are so tiny, the chance is much higher. Like for example, white-eye bream at the Windenbach with a small size 24 hook, here even 500 something grams. That's really, really good. Bream, blue bream, gibel carp, roach, crucian carp. Then maybe tench could also come in, common carp could also come in, chub could also come in. So there are still quite a few fish that can still bite here. Catch a perch of at least 1 kilo at the Balaya? Yeah, that's actually not that easy. You need to look around a bit. And let's also check what the community did here. I actually caught it with a topwater lure. So with a surface lure, that's a bit unusual. Classic and much easier would be a jig rig with a soft plastic lure, or just fishing it on the bottom with different worm types. Visual, for example, caught a wonderful perch with 1.4 kilos, and that on the backside, so on the slower flowing side of the Balaya. Here are the coordinates, 70, 57. That worked perfectly with earthworm and a size 1 hook. So that's definitely a possibility, fishing it on the bottom, and Soka did it similarly, also with 3 bottom rods, and also with a size 4 hook, in this case with earthworm in combination, and then he was also successful. The perch, 1.2 kilos. That also works with the new worm types, as I said, and also with the jig method. The next task is also not that easy. I still need to get to it. I haven't even started on it yet. And that is, at the old fortress, catch 4 fish using the artificial lure rig. And of course, the big question is, which fish do you catch best, and which lures do we use? That means when we use the artificial lure rig, we can use spinners, we can use spoons, we can use wobblers, and of course also surface lures if you're already at that level. And as target fish, we have of course pike, perch, chub, eye-day, burbot, definitely also Wells catfish with a bit of luck, even an eel, or maybe even a sleeper goby. Yeah, Northern Trout Buddy had also already completed the task successfully, with an ID, a pike, a perch, a chub. So that worked really well too. Let's take a look. What lure did he use? He used the spiker, so a relatively small lure, just spinning, relatively fine leader as well, and then just ran the spiker through, and that gave him the chance to trigger a lot of different fish. We can also see here with the fish, which lures exactly it was. So spiker, and again, spiker for chub and ID. For the perch, he also used the spiker, but the 002 version. And for the pike, he used a wobbler, the Terminator F1004. With Develos, it's similar. He also caught the 4 fish. He caught the pike with a wobbler. In that case, it was the Ugly Fellow 5502. He caught an ID with this small spinner, the Dragonfly Long version 003. He caught the perch with the Spinner Hornet 001. And he caught a burbot, of course at night, jigging phone with the Xander Artificial Lure 02. So mix up the lure selection, know how and where to catch the different fish. And of course, very important in this case again, use the smallest lures possible. Because by chance, even on a very small lure, you might catch a roach. That's definitely unusual, but with super small spinners or artificial lures, that can absolutely happen. Let's move on to stage 3 of the tasks. Catch 6 different fish species at the old fortress with a whip rod and the bait caster. Here again, the same game. We use a size 24 hook, we take the caster. Ideally, we mix it up. Fish on the bottom for a while, then for a while with the whip rod or with a float rod. And soon we should be able to complete 6 different fish species here. The next task, so stage 3, task 2, takes us to quarry. By the way, we'll also do that together this coming Sunday in the live stream. Then it's off to quarry, and there of course we'll go spinning. The task is catch 5 different fish species at quarry using a spinning or casting rod with a spoon. Again, use the smallest spoons possible, so extremely small spoons, very small hooks. And then we have a very high chance of catching a wide range of different fish. Kanalenkower showed us how to do it here. He caught perch, smelt, vindace, and also brown trout. And that was just with different small lures. Spoon Icon Slim Zero, he mainly used that one, and also the 01 at times. And then he caught all 5 fish just with 2 spoons. Here's his setup again. A relatively small, fine setup, only 5 kilograms line strength, and very small, simple spoons. The next task is again extremely easy. Catch 8 different fish species at Bear Lake using mash and dough baits. Again, as I said, super simple. We use, of course, a super small hook. and then we're good to go. Garlic dough, corn mash, honey corn mash, egg dough, sweet dough. Just use all the doughs, cast them at the usual classic spots, and soon it won't take long and we'll catch a wide variety of fish. I didn't even have the common carp in there yet, which is usually the standard. A leather carp could of course also be added in. Black amur could also be added in. So there are many other fish that could be included here. The bream, for example, could also be added in when fishing at night. So, lots of possibilities to complete this task. That brings us to the next stage, which is stage 4, and it starts with the white bream. Catch a white bream with at least 600 grams at the Old Fortress. This task, or a similar one, was already in the last event, and we managed it quite well, with cheese cubes or with worms, or of course you can also fish for it on the bottom with creme brulee. So, there are many ways to catch the white bream. The trophy white bream was caught by Devilus at the Old Fortress here, weighing over 800 grams, using a combination of creme brulee 8 and caramel 8, at the coordinates 2754 with a 15-meter clip. This is what the setup looks like, just using a size 6 hook, and for the sinking boilies he also used cream as a dip. And for the ground bait mix, you can use the standard original white bream mix. Ariazito found another spot, also in this area, seems to work quite well. So if the spot up here doesn't work for you, you can try down here too. Other options, as mentioned, are also using a float with worms or with cheese cubes. That works here at this spot as well. The depth for the float is about 1 meter to 1 meter 10. That works quite well. Also up here at B5, that works quite well too. There's a dock there, and from there you can cast out about 5 meters. In that area, you'll also keep catching white bream. Catch a tench or a golden tench with a weight of at least 1.2 kilograms at Bear Lake or at the Old Fortress. So at one of these waters, you'll definitely, when fishing for other fish, every now and then, just catch a tench. With a bit of luck, of course, the golden tench as well. We'll need that for another task too. I've been at Bear Lake twice now for an hour each time, and I haven't caught a golden tench yet. This is my cache from the last session here for golden tench. So every now and then, a tench, but also an incredible number of carp, common carp, amur, and so on and so on. So a lot of fish. Big tench have also been caught again with coconut cream and sweet cream, just on a size 6 hook. So again, going in very small with very small baits, you could also just use a pop-up and a single corn. That also works quite well again and again. Nevertheless, the golden tench is very rare. You just need luck. And I'll just keep standing at Bear Lake every day for an hour or so with small baits, just testing again and again. And at some point, the golden tench will show up. Stage 4, Task 3. Catch 6 different fish species at the Volkhov by spin fishing with a wobbler. I used the Orc minnow wobbler here, and that actually worked really well. The size 6 version, the size 7, and also the Dodger crank in the version 1007, so that worked really quickly. You can just use a handful of different wobblers. Maybe when trolling, don't go in too light, because of course you can also get bigger pike biting multiple times, so it's best to also use small wobblers, and then you have a pretty quick chance of catching the 6 different fish species here. That brings us to stage 5. Task 1 is catch 5 different fish species at Quarry Lake with a light or ultralight fishing rod. And we recognize a light or ultralight rod by the rating. It has to say ultralight or light. Whether it's a pole rod or a spinning rod, it doesn't matter. If you don't have a pole or a spinning rod, you can just go to Mosquito Lake, go to the administration there, and get the old replacement rod from there. Of course, it will be very difficult to catch big fish with it, but it's possible. If you also use a proper 2000 size reel that holds enough line, then you can actually do some light fishing with it. And that brings us to the golden tench task. That's stage 5, task 2. Catch a golden tench at Mosquito Lake or at Bear Lake. Maybe you'll get lucky and catch one at Mosquito Lake. They are actually caught randomly from time to time. Otherwise, just keep trying at Bear Lake, again and again. It's just a bit of a hard fish to catch. Always keep in mind, use a simple tench ground bait mix, simple baits, and ideally very small hooks. It's enough if it's a 200-gram golden tench. Then you've caught a golden tench. Catch a Zope with a weight of at least 1 kilogram at the Volkhov River or Sura. I think the Volkhov River works quite well for that. And let's take another look at what the community has caught. Here we already have the first Zope caught by Carousel. Catwheel also caught the Zope at the Volkhov with the new Volkhov compost worm, which is of course really nice. Caught on a size 1 hook and at the coordinates 755 with a 20-meter clip. 67 and 65 for the Zope also worked for Devilus, 1.2 kilograms in this version, and that was with the normal red compost worm on a size 1 hook. So that worked too near the dock, and then you had a Zope over 1 kilogram. Next we get to stage 6, and the first task is the lake trout with a weight of at least 3.5 kilograms. For the lake trout, always make sure you go in fine and light. Fluorocarbon is a must, ideally under 10 kilograms, so really fine. If that's too risky for you, if you're getting too many pike, then definitely under 15 kilograms for the fluorocarbon leader. And Klobenbahn already posted his setup here, so a relatively fine setup with only 9.6 kilograms. In this case, it's the Auric Popper 06, and he caught the lake trout here, over 5 kilograms. That was done stationary, not while trolling, at the coordinates 75-113, and the lure was retrieved just below the surface. Northern Trout Buddy also caught his lake trout here in this area. Again, nicely fished with a fine setup, a 9.3 kilogram leader on the Angry Walker in color 003. The next task is at the Sura River, and we're going for Zander. Catch a Zander with a weight of at least 4.5 kilograms at the Sura. We can of course use dead bait fish, we can of course use jig rigs for Zander, and that's actually recommended. Here we even have a Zander trophy. Fetical caught his Zander trophy here, 9.7 kilograms, with this setup on the Provoker 002. Really nice. Really nice on a size 1 hook with a 12 kilogram leader. That must have been a good fight. And at the coordinates 9526. So, we're jigging through the hole, and we can see it. Also in the early morning hours, Zander is always very active, especially in the morning hours and in the evening hours. That's the most important time, really. And here we see the next Zander trophy, like I just said, on bleak. So, fishing with bait fish, that's also definitely possible. Norpelschaden caught his Zander here in that area, right here at the 7.5 meter hole, casting out 30 meters and doing it with a setup like this. So, with a size 4 hook, 27 kilo in fluorocarbon, and then with Kalbarsh, or well, with bleak. The next task is going to be really exciting. I'm really looking forward to that. And that's stage 6, task 3. Catch 11 different fish species at the Sura with a bait from the worms category. Since we've got so many different new worms now, it's really just like last time. Search the Sura with a float rod with a bottom rod and just see what works. Here again, best to use really small hooks. We want to catch everything. We want to catch the smallest fish because it's all about fish species. And of course, we'll use all of the new worm categories. We'll do that task together this coming Sunday in the live stream. That's just the kind of thing that works really well, easy to do in the community. And with that, we're already at the final stage, stage 7, task 1. Catch a quarry char at Quarry Lake. So, a lake char, Korski at Quarry, that's not so easy. That just takes time and patience. Always keep trying different baits, try different colors again and again. Often the lake char has also been caught in bad weather, so more like in rainy weather. That might help a bit. Otherwise, you just need luck. It can take a while. But we've got 60 days time. Kaja has already caught a lake char and posted it in the Discord. That was caught stationary, so from the shore at coordinates 9301 with the Vico 1407. Pinkie Pie also caught one with the Balsamino 803, a lake char as well, this one at 6.7 kilograms. And the next task is to go to the Dunnets, and there we're supposed to catch a Black Sea bleak weighing at least 250 grams. And Blackholm was already at the Dunnets and caught his bleak up here on A3 float fishing at coordinates 26.2. All of that with Leach's bait with a size 7 hook. And bam, even got the trophy over 500 grams. Irwin has also tried it, and he caught his fish at coordinates 12.6, 12.01. That was way easier for him. He used a small size 16 hook with compost worm or bark beetle larva as bait. And just like that, a little one, 378 grams, a small Black Sea bleak, was caught. The next task is a bit tricky again because we need a special rod for that, and that's a feeder rod with medium durability. That's important. That's a bit confusing, or actually shown a bit incorrectly here. It says rod capacity medium. But what's important, of course, is that we check in the feeder rod section, and we'll do that together right now. It has to say medium there. So I just went to the tackle shop, and let's check the rods, the feeder rods. Here they are. And because we don't necessarily want to buy an expensive tool for such a task, we'll just take the cheapest rod we can get. If we buy such a rod outside of our usual plan, we can of course just buy it, then store it at home, because maybe we won't even use it for the rest of the year, but only for tasks like this. And then once a year, we can get it out and catch a fish with it, and that's the task done. So 268 silver. Catch a fish with a rod that has a capacity of 5 kilograms. That means we really have to use the full capacity here. So pay really close attention. When you do this task, the rod durability has to say medium, not medium heavy or heavy, because otherwise the task won't work. I'll also need a new rod for this task and have to check which one I'll pick. Probably I'll also buy this really cheap one, catch a 5 kilogram fish with it, and then the task is done. Once the tasks are complete, we'll get a reel, and then we'll also get 3 days of premium, one premium token that we can redeem whenever we want. For all players who usually can't afford or don't want to buy premium, it's a good idea to use these 3 days of premium and the daily happy hour during that time to skill up ground bait mixing and bait crafting so you can really progress quickly. We'll also get an 8th anniversary edition, a float rod, an ultralight float rod. We'll need that soon for the premium tasks, and we'll check out the premium tasks tomorrow. If this has helped you, leave a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel. It helps me a lot. And then we'll see each other in the next video. Tight lines.